All right, hello. Welcome back to the For the Badge podcast. There has been some true FA Cup quarterfinal madness. City again hit a ton of goals, another Holland hat trick, and of course, wait a minute, Fulham? What happened at Fulham? We'll get into it. But first, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and get that notification bell on. We got plenty more videos coming at you. All right, so Vincent Kompany gets a taste of the Premier League.
He really did. It was funny because I go watch City at with the City supporter group. Even if I can watch it at home, I still go. And no one out wanted us to kind of like batter them. Like we expected to win, but we didn't want to batter them because there's a love for Vinny that has been there. He was the guy. He's still considered like the captain. I'm not sure in terms of like a Chelsea fan or even for like an Arsenal fan, if there's that Patrick Vieira, John Terry. Hey, this guy came here. We gotta love on him, even if we gotta beat him. And so that's kind of how it was. Early in the game, Burnley were there. They had a lot of good chances. They were up for it. They had several counters, but interestingly enough, a different goalkeeper was in the goal, and there was a little bit more security. But City did change their formation because they played a 3-2-3-2, which was quite interesting. Yeah, because they played the three center halves, and then they had Rico Lewis next to Rodri playing. They had two holding midfielders, and then they played like Alvarez and Holland up top, even though they played on top of each other. So maybe it was 1-1 across the top, and then they had the midfielders, and they just, once they kind of got into their flow, it was kind of ridiculous. Alvarez, and I think you're starting to hear the clamoring that Alvarez will play more with Holland now. It'll be similar to I think it's the 14 City team when Negredo played with Aguero, where you had the Beast with Aguero and they were scary together. They're looking to do something similar to that, whereas obviously Holland is a little bit above Negredo. Even though Negredo was great when he was there, when he was in form before he got hurt, he was scary, man. And
I think he's another one of those City forwards that kind of got overshadowed by some of the star power over the years.
Yeah. And it's just, he was big and physical, and he met that. And what you saw is that the condensed formation that they played allowed them to play the ball to Holland more. They played a lot more passes directly to him. The first goal was just him. Alvarez tracked back, played Holland. Holland headed it back to him, and Alvarez played a through ball. And Holland just basically ran around the dude and just tapped it past the keeper. And the funny thing about it is that the keeper was there. It was just good football on him. And once that first goal went in, and you guys know, once they scored the first one, they just went from there.
Floodgates.
And Foden, someone was saying like this is a good time for them to be informed. Foden is informed. De Bruyne was informed. Like everybody looked up for it, and it was funny because I think once Haaland got his hat trick, Guardiola subbed everybody. Everybody who was sitting there, they played. He played all 5 substitutions. Phillips played. We played
Akanji, Grealish, Gomez, Palmer.
Yeah. Well, Grealish played last, and the only reason Grealish played last, I think he was actually trying to give him a rest, but he came on for De Bruyne, but that's because De Bruyne got like a cut on his knee, and he kind of limped around, but it looked like De Bruyne didn't want to play anymore. So at that point, he just stuck Grealish on. Grealish was on for like probably 6-7 minutes, and didn't really do anything.
89th here at the match court.
He didn't do anything. Because they played, and I think there was like probably three or 4 minutes extra time, so he didn't play a ton of time, and it's just to get a run out. But everybody
crosses to Holland. No crosses to Holland.
Holland was off the field by that time.
Of course.
But it was good to see them play without Holland, with Alvarez as the striker, because then it shows that they still can play that style. Because Alvarez actually fits I guess, the traditional City style of not sort of playing a lot of long balls and as would benefit Holland the most. And I mean, but the game was over by that time.
Yeah.
And Laporte looked good. He played. So the question is just about, how do you maintain all the people when City comes back from the international break? It's Liverpool first game, 7:30 in the morning on Saturday, and it's a good time to be where they are. Everybody looks like they're in good spirits, and a win at Liverpool, because Arsenal's, I think, 8 points clear, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? 8 points.
We do. You have a game in hand, but we are 8 points clear.
And so it makes the game obviously that much more important. They're all important, but I think it makes it that much more important. I think they'll be ready to do that. But I think they feel relaxed because there's no pressure. I mean, the 8 points seems like a fair enough where if they draw or if they happen to get a result that they dislike, it's not the worst thing in the world, because Arsenal still has a pretty tough run in, so they still have some games they need to play. But overall, I think they actually didn't try to like go at Burnley the way they were doing Leipzig, because they just kept going at Leipzig, and so it's good to see City in the an FA Cup semifinal, so they're going back to Wembley. But a funny thing is, and historically, and Pep mentioned it in a presser after the game, is that City do not perform well in semifinals. Their performances in FA Cup semifinals have been mediocre. They've only won at one FA Cup with him.
Arsenal's only wins against City in the last 5 years, 2 FA Cup semifinals.
City don't play well there. Now it's obviously assumed that City will be there because they're semifinals against, what is it? Who is it? Not Sheffield.
Sheffield.
Is it Sheffield?
Sheffield United.
United,
Yes.
yeah.
They
Blades.
beat Spurs and Spurs beat y'all.
Yeah.
Just
And
saying.
so I mean, so it's not a walk. And we'll talk about the other side of the semifinal later or at another time. But I'm happy where they are. I'm glad there's some form there. And while again, there's small murmurs, there's the potential of a treble or at least a double. And I think either one is a successful season, and it's exciting just to see them actually play better, because I've been open about how they looked out of sorts, and it looks like people care now, so that's cool.
It's not cool. I don't think it's cool at all, honestly. That y'all are, as everyone's saying, we see the kind of light down there at the end of the 10-game tunnel here, and City are just like, yes, give it to me. And Holland, you've only scored what, 13 goals in 2 games. Holland
Yes.
has 8 of them.
Hmm. Alvarez has 2 goals and 2 assists too. He has pretty good thing going. The forwards are in form. Yes.
And what's crazy is you might say Kevin De Bruyne has been the best man of the 2 games, and he wasn't even, and he's not even the one bagging all these goals. I mean, even Palmer came on and scored a goal in this one.
He didn't celebrate.
Well, I mean, it was the 6th goal on a championship squad, at home. I get it.
Yeah, but it was Vinny. I think it was Vinny.
Do you think that, you mentioned the floodgates opened after the first goal? Do you think that Burnley came here like, look, if we're going to win this game, it's going to be the tightest, we're going to face 97 shots, but we're going to get the 1-0 on some crazy break, and that was the plan, and then immediately, 30 minutes in, boom, it's just, okay, well, there was that, and now we're
I
done.
think they came in thinking they could win. And the funny thing was, it was interesting to see after Holland scored the first goal, the entire Burnley team ran over to Kompany so he could like coach him up. It was very reminiscent of like a high school team or a college team, kind of just to get their sorts together. And so they're clearly there to learn from their manager. They understand that it was a challenge, and they came at him. They did. They were coming at him, and it. I mean, I don't I seldom use the unlucky to not have scored, but they had chances early before the first City goal. But once the goal came, I mean, they turn on. There's a focus that they get once they score a goal, and it's very rare that they once they get a lead they lose it.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see that stat for sure. Patrick knows all about giving away leads, but
Oh,
we'll
let's not even talk about it. Not right
get
now, at
there.
least.
Uh, yeah.
So, do you think, and this is more league wise, but Lewis, do you think that City tries that City's going to get all 30 points out of the next 10? With their set up right now, with how they're playing, we're finally starting to see the City that we're like, oh gosh, that's the City you don't want to see
Mm.
if you're in a race with them.
Well, this is my perspective. I think Holland really is a difference maker because City has done this thing before, but City has never had a guy like Holland. They've had Aguero; he scores, he's consistent, but they have Holland and Alvarez, and Holland has been super consistent. And I say, barring injuries, I don't see why they don't get 30. And if they do get 30, man, oh man, that final day is going to be something else.
Yeah, well,
That last day is gonna be something else. And the thing is, and I've joked in the chat with you guys, but I mean, if I'm the FA and I did influence the games, I might want it to be that way. I'm just saying, might maybe want it to be where, because if you think about it, the you have the final game, then the FA Cup could be a derby, and then you have the Champions League final where you could possibly have a Premier League team in it. If I'm the Premier League, I mean, some grease palms wouldn't hurt to get us some ratings because it would equal out. But I'm not condoning anything like that.
Of course not 100 charges.
that would never happen. Not with the
I'm
Yeah.
FA
not
involved.
Barcelona, sir. I am not Barcelona.
Not yet, at
No,
least.
you just have issues growing your grass too long.
Yes,
Oh
but do
my
they get
goodness
30?
gracious.
Is it possible? Absolutely. I just know if if they beat Liverpool and then beat Arsenal, the end of the season is going to be super interesting. But I think beating
Sure.
Arsenal is, and the funny thing is, Liverpool is going to be a big game. Liverpool is the actual rival. I mean, Man U is, but Liverpool feels like it just because of where they've been recently. But I think that next Arsenal game is going to be so big. I mean, we thought the last one was big. This
It's
next
on my
one is going to
birthday.
be massive.
Yo, that game is on my birthday, and it's the day before Brian's wedding.
Oh,
I'm gonna
Massive.
be in Austin. I'm gonna be in Austin for that.
Well, you got to find a supporters spot to go watch that, man.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, that's gonna be insane. I've been thinking about it, especially if we also beat Liverpool.
Ooh. Well, and it's funny because I think Arsenal plays Chelsea before City, right?
We got Liverpool in the ninth,
And
and then the very next game is Chelsea at home, and then it's like West Ham, I think,
that
away
run,
to West
man.
away to West Ham, who are going to be fighting for their life, and
mm-hmm.
then it's City midweek.
Ooh, midweek.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a Thursday game.
Mm.
it's the only game they knew what. I'm just saying, if the FA was putting money on it,
I might have to do the pod from the Arsenal celebrations at the supporters bar.
Shots
Yo,
fired already.
If Arsenal win that game and we're like some number of points clear after winning that game, I'm gonna be losing my shit.
as you
I'm
should,
gonna be so
As
excited.
you should.
you
I'm gonna
should,
be so pumped.
you should.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm definitely feeling it, and I'm worried. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very worried about how City are playing because it's nothing short of magnificent right now. And as much as I'm obviously an Arsenal fan, I have enjoyed watching City play this season when they've hit the heights.
Yeah, they've been boring some games. They've been
They
boring
have,
a few.
but there's been some pretty excellent stuff. But speaking of excellent stuff, right across Manchester, over at Old Trafford, the theater of dreams.
Dreams.
Theater. It's a
Yeah,
theater, all right.
dreams.
Even it is a theater, yeah. Even without the greatest center defensive midfielder there's ever been, United find a way. They find a way to get a Willian like pulls a Luis Suarez on
Dude.
the line. First of
Dude.
all,
And then he tried to play shocked like he didn't know.
that
I was like, what are you doing?
that was the beginning of the madness. Like, and Fulham were playing, and I actually was trying to stream it because I didn't want to pay for ESPN Plus, and so as soon as I got it on, United were breaking. Like it was the break. As soon as I got it to work, it was the break, and Williams gone down like this, clear. Like that's not even an argument. The
None.
handball red card pin, that was the clearest bit of all of it. And then I've been a Mitrovic fan.
Lost his mind.
I've been an Alexander. Well, I read an article that said Marco Silva threw a water bottle at the ref.
He got tossed too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the ref's going over to the and apparently there's like an area around the monitor that you're not supposed to go into unless you're the referee. And Marco was running into that too, and he threw a water bottle at him, and he was screaming at the fourth official, and so he got tossed. And then, like, I've been a Mitrovic fan. Like, you just got banned for the rest of the season, man. Like
But I
they,
don't understand what they were complaining about. Like, what was the complaint? It was a handball. Like, it's not. I mean, you can watch every angle you want to. It was a handball. Like, what is the complaint?
I have no answers for you. Like in the little short I did, I was absolutely speechless. I was like, um, who knows what was going through his head there.
The funny thing is, and I am no proponent of whataboutism, but then, you saw a lot of people saying, well, what about when Bruno pushed the ref? He should have got a freaking red for that too. It's
Absolutely.
not saying, we're not saying, you let one get away with it because he did something wrong. That was wrong too. Okay, so there was a
Crazy.
bias and he didn't do it but the thing about it was, Bruno's was a little more in the moment of the flow of what was going on. This one, he literally went out of his way to do that. I mean, come on, man. That was silly. That could literally ruin the rest of their season.
Oh, it will. I guarantee it will. They've been okay a couple of times without Mitrovic, but now the coach is going to face a touchline ban. Willian obviously is going to catch a three game ban. But the article I read about Mitrovic, like the FA are upset. He has
Stupid.
He has faced a 3-match ban already this season, and they said that that's not good enough this time around already. And Fulham, they only have 11 games left. That's the rest of the season. He's done. He's out, and this could have a real pall over them for the rest.
Like, that's going to cost them millions of dollars just by
Mhm.
placement in the table. And the funny thing was, you think about it, they would have only been down 1-0 and still had time left. What's the problem?
No, they were winning.
They were up
won the
1-1,
game.
1-0.
Right. What's the problem?
It would have been a tie game, and you could have played for penalties.
What are you doing?
It was the 75th minute.
Now, I will say, because I mean, none of us are conspiracy theorists, but we do have a sneaking suspicion that there's some impropriety of officiating when you are in a specific part of Manchester and your uniform is a certain color. And so maybe they felt if that went against them, then it would snowball. The problem is that you don't create the snowball yourself. You let the snowball be created.
Right.
Then complain. You can't complain about being a victim after you hit somebody. That's not how you are a victim. That's the opposite of being a victim.
Yeah. Patrick, you ever seen anything this crazy?
Only thing I can think of is the Chelsea match against Tottenham when Tottenham was going for the league, and there was, I mean, it might as well have been almost a brawl at some point. I mean, there were Like there should have been like 8 guys that got red cards in that one, including the manager.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't, and I just saw what William did, and bro,
Why was he
what are you
confused?
like? What are you upset about?
What
Yes.
was he confused about?
There's nothing. Yeah, there's no argument there. There's none. I'm baffled. Like,
He's saying it hit his chest. It's hilarious.
not even close. It's a clear. I mean, you can see him
He puts
lean
his arm
down.
out.
Well, his head even goes down like that. Like
But
he
here's the
even.
funny thing about that handball is that if he stuck his hand behind his back, the ball still would have hit him.
Yeah, he could have
It
saved it.
still would have hit him. He didn't
Yeah.
even have to put his hand out.
Yeah, it hit his elbow, didn't it?
Yeah.
It looks like it hit his elbow.
But he was doing this. Like
When he
he.
put his
Right.
hand out, it was still going to hit him.
Yeah,
He was still would have blocked the shot. I mean, it might have gone in, but he wouldn't have got a red card.
No. Oh man.
Wow.
I think
they had
that.
to go to VAR to look at it though. Like that was.
Yeah, they missed it, and they missed it in real time. But I didn't. I immediately looked at Lauren. I was like, "Uh oh, that's a red card penalty right there."
It was
And-
so goofy because he
Yeah.
looked guilty when he did it.
Yeah.
He's like,
I heard one commentator said that's the best way to figure out if it's an actual handball. Don't forget about VAR. Look at the dude who's committed its face, because you know
He knew.
he knew immediately. Because like you don't get away with anything in this league ever. Like that, those days are done. You know, and so when you do something like that, you're like, oh crap.
yeah,
Oh my goodness gracious. Well,
Well, that helps Chelsea though.
it does.
it does help Chelsea. It does help Chelsea. The historic quadruple. The run is still on. It's
I
still.
think it's just going to be a treble, y'all. I'm sorry. I don't think they can pull off the quad now.
Oh my goodness.
They did this without the greatest holding midfielder ever,
Ooh.
Yeah.
which means that they're going to have more focus. They're like, we did this for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I feel like it's a disservice to Brighton to not to mention that they smashed Grimsby and made it
5-0.
made it to Wembley themselves, but I just feel like they're up against the favorites. They're up against the narrative. You know, you're not gonna beat the Red Devils at Wembley.
No.
I mean, you're not beating the opportunity to have a Manchester derby in the final. Like, I mean, if that's the
Feel
narrative,
even
then
worse for Sheffield. Feel even worse for Sheffield because it's just not meant to be at all. You're done. You can talk
Especially
about
after their run.
semifinal hoodoo that Man City's got. Doesn't matter. It's over.
and you know, if it's universe 617, if this is 616, imagine how the FA would feel if it was Sheffield
And
and
Brighton.
Brighton. I'm gonna just leave that right there and just know that I'm not saying any palms should get greased, but I just feel like, you know, what's good. I don't even understand this saying, but what's good is for the goose is good for the gander. I don't.
Gander, yeah.
Is a gander a girl goose?
No, it's a male goose, I believe.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know anything about.
No idea what that saying means.
I don't know what it means. I don't know what that means at all.
What's good for City is good for United is good for the FA.
It's good for TV money.
I mean, think about it. The TV money, Wembley will be sold out for sure.
The stories, they're going to be able to write 14,000 stories over this.
I mean, is it going to be?
It'll be about the quad because once the final is set, you'll like their places in the table will kind of still be there too, and then both teams will be advanced, probably, maybe, likely into their respective European competitions. So that means the bubbling of which Manchester team will win multiple trophies will be there. Arsenal will get ignored, which means Arsenal will win the league because they've gotten ignored and they feel disrespected.
There's no pressure because no one cares.
Arsenal would have been a part of this if they cared about Europa, sir. They
We
should have
won't go there.
cared.
We won't go there. They didn't. Straight up did not care. Did not take it seriously, and you'll never convince me otherwise. Yeah. But yeah, it looks like the story's already written there in the FA Cup. And if you're a fan of stories, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and get that notification bell on. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.